Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join our motorcycle webinar. I'm Nicole Prezell from the marketing department, and I really appreciate that you guys took some time to learn more about our unique motorcycle program. Before we get started, we're going to go over a few house rules. This is a live interactive webinar, so your microphones are turned on right now. You do have the ability to mute yourself if there's background noise around you. Please take the time to do that. We want you to participate. This is why we have you unmuted. So please interrupt, ask questions throughout the webinar. We are going to have an actual question and answer session at the end as well. If you're not comfortable with shouting out, there is a question box feature in your control panel. You can type your questions in there, and Nadine will answer your questions throughout the webinar. If you notice on the right side of the screen above that question box, there is a handout section. This has a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that we're utilizing today. You can download this now if you want, so you can reference it after the webinar, or we're also recording the webinar and we'll email you a copy of that recording and presentation afterwards as well. Please stay tuned for the entire webinar. We are offering a contest and we want to share those details with you at the end of the presentation. In addition, you're going to also receive a survey at the end of the webinar. Kindly complete this. This is so we know how we're doing and what else you would like to learn about. So what we're going to go through today, we're going to go over who is Toscano, the products or the bikes we can actually cover in the Yes, We Cover That section, product highlights. We're going to go through the loss settlement options, included coverages, optional coverages. We'll go heavy on the discounts. Nadine's going to actually walk us through a quote online, and she's going to tell us what you need to do a phone quote as well. We'll go over what's next, and then we'll go over the prizes and then the Q&A at the very end. So I'm going to turn control over now to Nadine Rosensteel.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Nicole, and good morning. As Nicole said, we're going to talk a little bit about motorcycles, but first, who Toscano is. So I'm the manager of the personal lines department. This year, if I make it to October, is going to be my 30th year at the agency. We have a team of 6, 3 underwriters, Judy Britton, Deb Belcher, and Amy Papuga. Carrie Bush and Amy Papuga, Danielle Heisong, and Dana Kraus are the assistant underwriters. But we're truly a team. We work very closely together. So if you are calling for somebody and they're on the phone, feel free to, hit 3 and get their assistant or another underwriter. We all work together truly as a team. As the slide shows, I'm happily married and I have a 13-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. But the one thing that we are customers of American Modern. My husband has an ATV with American Modern. So I'm familiar with the billing. I'm familiar with, how the renewals come in and, the policy documents, things like that. So anybody have any questions? I'm very informal. So please, feel free just to jump in if you have any questions and, don't be shy. So, okay. So again, who's Toscano's? So Toscano was founded by Bill Toscano. He started the agency in 1970. And why motorcycle is a core product for us is Mr. Toscano actually went to, which we all refer to as Mr. T. I had the pleasure of working with him. He's such an awesome guy. He actually went to the retail offices on his motorcycle. So we are all motorcycle enthusiasts here. Mr. T is 90 years old and he still rides. The picture there is the very top picture is Mr. T. The middle picture is Al Toscano, one of Mr. T's son. Al Toscano recently retired from the agency, and the next day he rode off to Alaska on his motorcycle for a trip. He thought it was going to be something like cool and unique, but when he went there, he comes to find out every middle-aged retiree male had that same vision, and there was a boatload of men on their motorcycles in Alaska. Who would have known? And then the last picture is a picture of, again, Mr. Toscano, and it's from one of our motorcycle runs. A few years back, we actually did a rally, and we invited our agents, and we went up to the 9/11 Memorial, which is about 30, 40 miles from us. So, we know all about bikes, and all of the Tuscanos are customers also. So one of the big things about Tuscana is we're committed to our agents, and we're here to support you. We host educational CEs here once a month. We're here to help you with, your insurance solutions, and we want you to succeed. One of the things America Modern offers is co-branding marketing materials. They are free of charge, and just not on the motorcycle product, but on all their lines of business. They are unbelievably, the design, the marketing team there is just unbelievable. They have things like brochures, posters for their collector cars, do not touch signs for like shows, things like that. So those could all be co-branded free of charge. Contact Nicole, her email address is there, or just give her a call and she can show you some samples, or I can too. So either way. Anybody have any questions? Okay. So we get a lot of times the question on what do you cover? What type of bikes? In America Modern, this little brochure, this little flyer that's here, that yes, we cover that. They cover all kind of units. This is actually available as one of the downloads. I love it because I'm a visual person. Somebody can talk to you about a motorcycle. Motorcycle enthusiasts are very passionate, and they'll take out their bike before taking out their girlfriend on a date. And a lot of times, they'll have a single seat, even though they got a wife, because that's who they're married to first sometimes. So, so they're talking about their bike as if they're their child sometimes. Well, these give you a visual of what we can actually cover. So we do everything from your standard bike to your dirt bike to your touring. But, the spiders are really big, Can-Am spiders. But we also do, I've had 2 or 3 inquiries within the last 2 weeks, electronic bicycles and golf carts. So we can do those, and we can also do ATVs. We can do 4, 6, or 8-wheeled utility vehicles. What's nice about the America Modern product is you can schedule all of those on one policy. So if you have a Honda and then a golf cart, they can be on one policy, or they can be, a golf cart and a electronic bicycle and a moped and an ATV. So they can all be on one policy. So that's really nice. Plus you get the multi-policy discount. So any questions on that? So that handout is available today in the little section that Nicole described before, or that is also something that can be co-branded. So it's pretty slick, pretty nice advertisement. Any questions for you?
Good. Nadine, we have a question that came in. Can you write antique motorcycles?
Good question. We can, but we suggest to write antique motorcycles on the America Modern collector car policy. It is designed for that bike that goes to shows, or you're not using it that well. The coverages are a little bit, they're better for, the collector type of vehicle. But yes, absolutely, we can write that. That is something also you're able to quote in-house. So yes, they have a huge market for that. In fact, we have some antique motorcycles here. I wish I had maybe like a GoPro to show you. When you first walk into our office, we have a motorcycle that was ordered out of the Sears and Roebuck catalog. So it's pretty awesome. So it's there with its little like plaque and things like that. So yeah, good question.
Nadine got another question.
Okay.
Do you do sidecars?
Sidecars. That is a good question. And you know what? I'm embarrassed to, Nicole, are we able to write a sidecar?
Last I knew, we were, but we can find out some more details and get back to that person after the webinar.
What's interesting about that is we also have a sidecar here at the office. Yeah, as far as I'm aware, that there is no restrictions on that. It has to more than likely be the the original sidecar. It can't be something you built. So it has to be part, if it's a bit like the one here, we have a BMW, so it has to be a product of BMW. It cannot be, and believe me, we've had these type of risks. I'm sure you guys have probably some stories of the things that you see. It can't be a situation where the person builds the sidecar and if it is something like that, they would probably have something called a customs form that would fall in the customs category. It would have to be approved by the company. So we would just need pictures and a little bit more information. So good question though. Okay, so the product highlights. American Modern has great pricing on Harley Davidsons, Yamaha, and Honda. You know, at one time, the motorcycle industry has definitely changed, at least, you know, the 15 years that I've been in personal lines, that when I first started here, you know, nobody wanted Hondas or Harleys or Yamahas. For some reason, especially Harley Davidson, they had this stigma. And, you know, Harley Davidsons are expensive. People take pride in ownership of them. You know, they won't wash their car for 3 months, but they're shining up their Harley Davidson. American Modern took note of that, and they were one of the first in the industry to offer coverages for them. You know, your standard carriers a lot of times wouldn't write them. They, you know, have exceptional rates for them, and they understand that a Harley owner is a little bit different than, you know, someone that's riding a Kawasaki, or they tend to be an older person. You know, not too many 18-year-olds can afford a Harley because of their value, and you know, that they're really aware of the product market. They have something in the industry that nobody else has. It's replacement costs for the life of the bike on models that are 2 years and newer. And street-driven units include $3,000 in accessories. So what that means is, like your standard motorcycle, there's $3,000 worth of accessory coverage added. An ATV only has $1,000 of accessory. They offer off-road limits are include $1,000 accessory, and all driving records are considered. So that's another thing American Modern realizes. And, you know, things happen. People get speeding tickets, people get DUIs, things happen, and they'll take all driving records into consideration. Any questions on that? Okay. So the last settlements are replacement costs and actual cash value. So the replacement cost coverage, Nicole's actually when she goes out to visit retail offices, she actually has a really good example on this. So how it works. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so what I have used in the past when I owned my agency, I wrote a lot of motorcycle policies with American Modern, and this is the example I use. It's the best way to explain to an insured. So Mr. Insured walks into the office today. He's just purchased a 2017 Harley Davidson. It's new to him, but it's a used bike. Fine. So you, as the agent, say, okay, I can give you a $20 endorsement that's going to provide you with replacement costs for your bike. And the insured said, all right, I'll take it. 10 years from now, Mr. Insured's in an accident. He lays his bike over. It's totaled. He comes walking into the office and he says, what am I going to do? And you are able to say, okay, Mr. Insured, you can go to Harley Davidson. You can get a brand new Harley Davidson this year, and you can choose a model that's as close to what you had. No questions asked. So that replacement cost coverage is $20 a year, and that insured is going to be able to get a brand new Harley Davidson. Now, these guys are showing out more than $20 grand for a motorcycle. They're going to have no problem spending $20 for a replacement cost endorsement because, number one, they're going to want a new bike. Number two, they are going to tell all their friends about this endorsement they have on their policy so they can get a new bike. So it's going to help you to retain that business, and it's also going to bring you a lot of referral business as well. So that's the best way I have found to explain to an insured. However, it is the agent's responsibility to explain to the insured how unique this coverage is, because they're not going to be able to go get this in apples to apples comparison with another carrier. So that's my recommendation. Back over to you, Nadine.
Okay, and a couple of things on that replacement cost. It's not available on mopeds, scooters, off-road units, and customs. Unfortunately, it's not eligible. So those are some things to keep in mind. Any questions on that at all? So that's an awesome coverage to provide for your clients. Okay. So what we're going to do, and again, what's included with the motorcycle is accessory coverage, safety apparel, which is full coverage. A full coverage policy provides $1,000 worth of coverage on things like clothing, helmet, which can be very costly, and medical payment coverage starts at $1,000 and can be increased up to $10,000. Now, something to keep in mind is in the state of PA, we write in several states. State of PA, medical payments is actually an excess coverage over your primary health care. So medical payment coverage can cost, it's an extra add-on to increase it. So something to keep in mind, if they have sufficient underlying health care, we always suggest, the excess coverage is maybe something, to make it lower. The $10,000 limit can be pretty high. So anybody have any questions on that? Okay. So the optional coverages are rental reimbursement. That is coverage to rent a replacement motorcycle due to a physical damage loss. Trip loss reimbursement, reimburse you up to $300 for transportation, lodging, and expenses if the bike becomes disabled more than 100 miles. And transport trailer, you can add physical damage to a trailer, which is something I have on my ATV. So, any questions on that on the optional coverages? Alrighty. So they offer several discounts. They offer home ownership up to 20%. If you transfer the policy to us, 10% if there's no lapse in coverage, 1% if it's less than a 30-day lapse. One thing to keep in mind is they cannot transfer an American Modern policy. So if they cancel a non-pay in January and you're rewriting it in March, it's not considered a transfer policy because you can't transfer it from American Modern to American Modern. Claim-free renewal, 3% on the first renewal, and they insuring a multi-policy discount, 10% for insuring 2 bikes and 15% for insuring 3 or more. So that's a pretty cool factor. So, any questions on the discounts? Okay. So quoting. One thing that's unique about Toscano's, I think it's unique, is we will do business however you want. So I get it. Not everybody is tech savvy, and not everybody sometimes has the time to quote online. But then there's other people that they really don't want to take a phone conversation and they want to do it all themselves. So we will do it however you want it. So one of the things that we can do is a quick phone quote. And I also understand sometimes a customer comes in and you have 9,000 things to do and it's easier to pick up the phone. Give us a call, a quick phone quote. All we need is the insured's name, mailing address and garaging address, that sometimes are different, Social Security number for the best possible rate, date of birth, model, make, and VIN number, and limits desired. The Social Security, getting back to the Social Security number, American Modern does insurance score, but they will never deny a quote because of bad credit. The better the credit, the better the rate. We always suggest the Social Security number because that's the best possible rate that they will get. So any of us can help you here and do a phone quote over the phone. It literally takes, seconds, but today I'm going to show you how to do it through ModernLink. And the one nice thing about through ModernLink is, we have different hours than you, and I realize some of you are in different states, even different time zones possible. And, sometimes we're not here at lunchtime. We close from 12 to 1. And a lot of times that's when customers come to you because they're on their lunch break. So we understand that. So this is just another tool for you. And it shows you how you can quote, find an issue right in the convenience of your home or your office, wherever you may be. So any questions on that? Okay. So now I'm going to show you how to quote on ModernLink. So one of the big questions is, how do I even get to ModernLink, by the way, is American Modern's management system. It's their quoting system. So there's a couple ways you can save American ModernLink into your favorites. We always suggest to use Chrome or Firefox for your web browser. Internet Explorer has a tendency not to work, so you're always wanting to use Chrome or Firefox for that. And another way that we made it easy for you is once you're logged into the Toscano agency, it's toscano.com, and you go to the toolbox area, you will come to the personal lines portals. We have American Modern, our line agents. So if you hit log on, and unfortunately we don't have it here at the office, it's only a benefit to our agents, it will log you in directly to the ModernLink system. Now, Melissa Tressler does a lot of our account login. She was nice enough to show you what your agency code is in your Toscano GA, because sometimes people forget that. We understand you have a lot of providers, and those are things that, not on the top of your list. So she's able to tell you what your agency numbers are if you should need that. So once you click that login, it's going to go right into this screen. This is the home screen. Your agent number should automatically populate. It's going to ask your sub-producer number. That should automatically populate. The effective date, you cannot backdate, but you can go ahead 30 days. The rating zip code, that's where you're going to be garaging the motorcycle. And can everybody see? I'm really hoping that everybody sees ModernLink and you're not seeing something differently. So, and again, but just barge in at any time if you have any questions. And these are the products that you're able to rate. If by some reason, we do write in multiple states, we do have customers in multiple states. One thing to keep in mind is you have to be licensed in that state. American Modern has some very strict licensing rules, and they're there to protect the consumer. I know sometimes that it can be inconvenienced, but their best interest is in the consumer. So they want to make sure that you're licensed in that state and we are licensed in that state. So if you should get an error that says states we don't have your licensing on file, that's something that we easily can fix by just for you to provide us with a copy of your state license, your non-resident license. So again, they just want to make sure everybody's, and not that anyone's practicing without a license, they're not suggesting that, but they just want to make sure the consumer is aware that if you're not licensed in that state, and unfortunately, if you're not licensed in that state, we're unable to write the business. So you're going to pick motorcycle for the product and get a quote. Okay, and this is just, asking you some questions like this is a cancel, rewrite policy. It's wanting the effective date again, the zip code. It's asking you to read to the applicant that they may, it's credit-based and they're going to involve a third party in getting that information. At the quoting stage, they will not do MVRs. They will do MVRs at the binding stage. So that is something which I'm sure you deal with on the daily basis, that if they're not honest with you, and I get it too, people forget, especially if they get a speeding ticket like 2 years ago, they sometimes forget, but they will, so your rate may change if there's any type of speeding or accidents that they don't tell you up front. So you're just gonna enter the name, and I'll try to, in the mailing address, I will try to be quickly, not to bore you with all my typing, because the last thing you want to do is to watch somebody type for a couple minutes. The state, again, the zip code, the date of birth, and we just hit next. Now, ModernLink is so smart, it knows that I have accounts or quotes in the system. So if it's somebody that's already in here, maybe for another product, you can choose that, and it will pull any information that it has on file as far as driving licenses, things like that, or you can create a new one. It's going to ask some personal information. If you're single or married, the gender. This is one question that I have a problem with because I've been very boisterous about it. So you don't get a discount if you're male or female. I know sometimes that's a misconception, I think, that females get a better rate than male and vice versa. So that is not the case here. This is 100% for statistic purposes. Social security number, again, it's recommended, but it's not needed. Anything without a star is not needed. So you don't, for quoting, you don't need a home phone number, personal email, things like that. It's asking if there's a motorcycle association. So there's different things like Goldwing, Harley's owner group, things like that. If you have a situation that you insure, there's several motorcycle groups here. We live in Greensburg, which is outside of Pittsburgh, 30 miles east of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And, you know, we have a local motorcycle group. That is something that we can go to the company on and ask them, say, hey, I have 60 members that are willing to come and get and, you know, apply for insurance. Will you give them a discount? So that is our relationship with America Modern, that they're willing to work with us and listen to you. So if you have a suggestion like that for a motorcycle group, we may come to us. We most certainly will go to them and try to get an additional member discount for you if it's not already on the list. The valid motorcycle operating license, that is something that is needed on motorcycles, not necessarily needed on ATVs, golf carts, things like that. Number of years that you have experience. If they completed or approved motorcycle training course within 3 years. Now, there's a lot of free courses out there, so that's something to keep in mind for your insureds. So the free courses, they also apply in this situation. So it's not something that they have to do a paid course, you know, a lot of free courses in the area. A lot of local garages, it's something on Saturdays that they offer. So encourage your insureds to please take that. And that is something also that we can add on midterm. So an insured gets their bike today. I get it, like it's always raining here. So, you know, it's a clear day, they can finally take the course. By all means, we can add that discount on after they take the course. It is something that we will need, the little card that they get or completion certificate. We'll need that as proof that they took the course. Own and rent, they do give a discount for home ownership and accidents and violations. Again, keep in mind that they're not running the MVR at this time. If you want to add any other operators, this is where you would do it.
Nadine, I just have one thing to add. American Modern just added a discount for folks who have a AAA membership as well.
Oh, great. Thanks I'm going to have to update my policy on that one because we do. Cool. Great. Thank you very much. So their system is pretty cool because it has hundreds of thousands of numbers, and that it identifies the number with the unit, the make and model. So it will pull that make and model if it's in their database. Don't panic if it goes to all other. Don't panic if nothing comes up, because if it's a situation, sometimes if it's a 2020, or they're probably doing 2021s now, it might not be in there. We also see that sometimes on scooters, because there's a lot of factory-made scooters from thousands of companies. Sometimes, you know, on the scooters, we see that the VIN number is not pulling. And a lot of times, you know, they're popping up these scooters, you know, literally every day. So that's one area that it might not pull. You're going to see that it's an all other. So the vehicle ID, we're going to enter it in real quickly. You do not need a VIN number for the quote, but again, it's strongly suggested because you're going to get, the last thing you want is when somebody wants the coverage and then a binding, it's completely different. That VIN number many times can change that premium because the insured thinks it's something and it is absolutely not that bike. So, or that model. It's and CC, things like that. So, you know, for 100% accuracy, you want to get the VIN number. And we're going to say, and there it is. It pulls it, the make and the model, and in the CE. Or CE, oh my gosh, insurance on the brain. The CC, going to ask if this is a unit trike conversion. We can do trikes, but it has to be part of an approved list. If we would hit yes, you would see approved list. If it is not on the list, it is something that we cannot do. Purchase date, we're just going to pick a date. Is the risk the same as the mailing address? You're going to say yes or no. If it's not, you're going to enter in the garaging address. Okay, and here's your limits. So we can do minimum limits of $1,530 and go the whole way to $250, $500. The property damage, the passenger liability, you can pick the UM/UIM, you can have no coverage, or you can also have stacked and unstacked. Here is where you would pick the replacement cost coverage. So we can have, these are all the deductible options, AC and replacement costs, but here's where you would want to pick that replacement cost coverage. Accessory coverage, $3,000. If you forget the amount, that system will tell you the amount should be $3,000. If you have a trailer, if you want the travel loss reimbursement or the rental reimbursement, it's just drop downs. Any questions on here? Okay, oh, wait, I'm gonna pick the medical payments, $1,000. Oh my gosh. Okay, and quote now. It's that simple, it's that quick. A quote in a couple minutes. On the right-hand side, you'll see print forms. It's just a PDF, and you can pick the quote sheet, application. I'm gonna go back to the summary. So here are all of your coverages and their discounts, just to see if the insured, would like to increase their deductible. You just go back to the coverages and change it. Here are all your discounts and surcharges and how to pay. The one thing with the motorcycle product, if anyone's familiar with America Modern, things like dwelling fire, you can bill to the insured. With the motorcycle policy, they need to have the pay at binding. So that is something that's a little bit different than the other products. Going forward with America Modern, all of their products are going to be a situation that they want to pay at binding. So they will take EFT or credit card. As you can see, there's also tell you the available bill plans, quarterly, monthly electronic withdrawal, which is a very nice option because if you're like me, I forget to pay some things. That's great to have, and sometimes it's a little bit easier to come up with $74.40 once a month rather than $93.50, every 3 months. So any questions on that? Okay, you can hit your save button, and then let's say that the insured loves the price. So we're just going to hit proceed to issuance. And it does take you through, and it's going to, and I'm not going to bore you with all of the things that I have to add, but you would just have to add things like it is going to ask their phone number, and it's going to ask their driver's license number, things like that. And everything that's starred is what you need to send, what you need from the insured. At the end, let's see if I can get, see, it's telling me, please enter at least one phone number. See that? So it's asking you how it's used. We are only able to write motorcycles that are personally used. We can write in a corporation name, for instance, the Toscano Agency, but we cannot write if they use it for business, unfortunately. Nor can we write if it's like promotional use, things like that. That's something we may be able to do on a collector car policy. We actually had the Trim Spa, for people that remember Trim Spa. We had the Trim Spa bike a few years back. So, but as far as anything used personally or commercially or promotionally, we cannot do. Okay, this is where you do your additional interests. And again, I'm breezing through these so I don't bore you too much. So it's saying an MVR report doesn't exactly match. That's because I didn't give the right information. And here's pay an issue, and we would just hit pay. And this is what you need. The billing information, you're going to have to enter valid payment, and that would be check, the EFT numbers or routing numbers, or credit card information. So you would just hit pay now, and for the sake, I'm not going to enter my information because I don't want it bound, but it's going to be bound, and ID cards will be available. The policy will be available for you to download the next day, and the policy and the original ID cards will be mailed directly to the insured. So that's it. It's pretty quick, pretty slick, and it's something that we find that is a valuable tool, and that's why we want to share it with you. So does anybody have any questions?
Nadine, we have a question that came through. Is there an option for layup coverage in the motorcycle program?
There is not, unfortunately. I know we have that in the snowmobile program, but American Modern feels that a true enthusiast is someone that's riding all year round, especially in PA. A few days ago, it was 60 degrees. There were a lot of motorcycles. So again, they're looking out for the consumer. So they feel, you have so many things to remember, and they would rather not offer the coverage and you forget that you have that layup coverage and something happens. But they do build the rate into that. They, take in consideration that, a person in PA or in Ohio is not driving their motorcycle more than likely 12 months a year, as opposed to someone in California. So they do not offer layup coverage, but it's within the rate and the consideration of the program. And it's something too that I agree with, because I know my husband has his ATV out, riding sometimes, in February. So I'd much rather, that's the last thing I sometimes, remember is insurance. I'd rather have it covered than not covered. But that's a good question. Thanks. Anybody else? Okay. One thing to keep in mind too, please, I know how it is. You get out the webinar and you forget. And, again, we want you to use this tool, but just call us at any time. I can help you. If you get stuck, please give me a call. Give anybody on the team a call. I know exactly how that is. 2 days from now, you have a risk and you're trying to get through it. And, we're here to help you and walk you through it. So just give us a call with any questions. Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay, so thank you all for joining us. We do have another webinar coming up that Nadine is going to be conducting on manufactured homes. It is on April 18th at 10 o'clock. We have a really unique product for manufactured homes as well through American Modern, so be sure to join us for that. We hope that you can come to learn some more again. And then we're going to go over some other upcoming webinars that we have throughout the agency. We have those listed on this slide here. We have our own private flood program. We're going to go through that next week with Nicole Plews. We have our regular one-on-one, or website 101 webinar as well with Melissa Tressler. We talked about the manufactured home. And then we have a third, or a new webinar that's going to be a 3-part series for Got Trucks. We have a lot of trucking business. If you have that in your office, this is an excellent webinar for you to participate in. We're going to walk you through how to get a submission so that you can have your quote as soon as possible. Now, we are going to be giving away prizes, and we're going to run this for 2 months. So you can see the details here, and obviously you guys are going to get a copy of this to download as well, so you can keep it as a reference. We're giving away $10 gift cards. Anyone who binds a new motorcycle policy will get a $10 gift card. There's no limit, so you can get as many as you can rack up. We hope that we can help you to place some business in-house. The contest runs from today until May 21st, and we will be announcing the winners on Facebook on May 22nd. So take advantage of it. You can get some $10 gift cards to utilize, and we hope that you're successful with the motorcycle program. We're going to open it up again for questions. Does anybody have any other questions for Nadine at this point in time? Okay. If not, Nadine, you want to say goodbye and we'll wrap it up?
Thank you again. I really appreciate it. And enjoy your morning. And please, if something comes over your desk and you just don't think it's going to fit, give us a call. We can talk about it. So have a great day. Thanks a lot.